Having talked about the key features, the underlying methodology, approach, and the course components, now we will take a unit walkthrough to see how it is structured and how it can be used more effectively with the help of other components. As mentioned earlier, levels 2, 3 and 4 have 6 modules, while level 1 has 3 modules. And in each module, the flow is pretty much the same. However, there are some differences in some levels, which will clearly be explained in this part of the video series. In addition to what is presented within the module, there are some additional and meta components. In this unit walkthrough, we will first look at what is in the module, then what is included in the end meta part. If you have already received your teacher's book, having it with you while watching this part of the video will be really helpful to see the module sections and how they are dealt with in the teacher's book. Okay then, let's start. Here you can see the regular flow of the main sections in a module, which we will explore in more detail now. Each module focuses on an interesting theme, and the themes are mapped to the core themes of Bahçeşehir College English program. That is to say, Module 1 explores identity, 2 orientation, 3 expression, 4 function, 5 organization, and 6 responsibility. One module of this extension pack aims to cover the content or theme explored in 3 units of Bahçeşehir core program. You can see 4 boxes here with language skills written in it. What do they stand for? Well, each module opener page presents 4 key GSE learning objectives in a simplified way for students to understand the learning goals better. In relevant teacher's book page, these key learning objectives are identified in original descriptors with the related GSE number. This opener page is taken from Grade 4, Module 1, and it explores the theme celebrations, which is mapped to the identity theme of Bahçeşehir's core English program. As seen here in the circle on the opening page, a brief introduction is given to activate learners' schemata. When you think that your learners do not know what celebration means, how can you help them understand it looking at this page? The photographs displayed on the opener page will be very helpful in this matter. Before explaining, you'd better ask them as many questions as you can to make best of the visuals. Look at the photograph closely and think about what kind of questions you can ask to your students. Visual-related questions are always a good way to start introducing the theme. Moving on to the next page, you will see the big question box. What is your favorite way to celebrate? I'd like you to keep this question in mind, since each module is organized around the big question and provides a starting point for building understanding of key concepts and vocabulary. Each reading in the module asks students to consider different aspects of the big question, leading to deeper levels of understanding. This is the relevant teacher's book page. In order to introduce the module theme to your learners, Teacher's Edition provides you with detailed teaching notes. For each theme, a different graphic organizer is suggested to be used, which is revisited throughout the module. You may either prepare an example of that particular graphic organizer, copy and distribute it to the children, or they may copy it in their notebook. However, make sure to use these graphic organizers. You may use T-charts, Venn diagrams, word webs, etc. The EL Insight tips, on the other hand, are provided for teachers to have an insight in how to deal with EL learners. For instance, introducing new topics as outlined on this page. So, Teacher's Book will always be helpful to extend the content presented in the student's book. Having seen the structure of the opener page, let's move on to the next part. On the top corner of the page, you will see what the page deals with. As seen here, it is Build Background. And these pages are designed to introduce students to key vocabulary and provide a context for learning. Activities in your turn boxes allow students to practice what they have learned, relate learning to their own lives, and give opinions. Sometimes, having the relevant pictures and key information to build background may not be enough. How to address the input matters a lot. In this respect, the relevant Teacher's Book page gives you further practice ideas such as how to turn it into a writing activity or a fluency activity. How can you boost visual literacy, etc. Tasks naturally require some learning outcomes. These learning outcomes are GSE aligned in this book. And you, as teachers, will be able to see what GSE learning objectives are targeted on the relevant page in the GSE Learning Objectives box. Once the module theme is explored and background is built, learners are provided with a reading text. In each module, there are 2 reading selections, and for each reading selection, Prepare to Read part provides keywords in level 4, sight words and story words in other levels. These keywords are explicitly taught in a context and highlighted throughout the reading text. In levels 1, 2, and 3, the second page, followed by vocabulary lesson, introduces phonics that learners will see the example of it in the reading selection. Going back to the vocabulary page taken from level 4 again, I'd like you to have a look at the words highlighted and think about how you can introduce them. How do you usually present new words? Have you got a technique that you think works well? Just take a minute to reflect on your own experience. If you have your own ways of presenting new vocabulary, that is great. But if you would like to see how Teacher's Book can help you in this matter, let's see an example of it. There is a clear guidance on how to reinforce language attainment in the Teacher's Book, which is oral vocabulary routine. For each word, a definition is given. Then, to expand it, another example is given. Finally, to give learners the opportunity to think about the word and make connections, there is a question asked. This routine is provided for each vocabulary lesson within the book. Starting from level 4, students are presented academic words which are included in the reading text. They are presented the words in the context, then practice and apply it. Again, in level 4, academic words are followed by either word study, which addresses different aspects such as using dictionary, antonyms, synonyms, and etc. In some texts, however, you may see phonics are introduced. So far, your learners have been provided with the content to orient them into the theme, build their background, and with the key vocabulary that they will see in the text. Now it is time to introduce the reading selection. If you may remember, the big question of this particular module is, what is your favorite way to celebrate? And in this reading, again related to this big question, another question is asked. How are celebrations in your family? The idea behind more about the big questions is to relate the theme to the reading text and provide a deeper understanding from a different point of view. These questions are provided in each reading text explicitly in Level 4. Reading strategies are introduced before the readings, ensuring that students know how to apply the strategies while reading. Then they are revisited at the end of the reading selection. You may see that keywords introduced before are highlighted in the text to allow learners to recognize them in a different context again. Comprehension questions are given at the end of the reading selection in Think It Over sections. The ordering of the questions matters here. The very first question is recalling the information, while in the second one, they are required to comprehend and finally analyze. The order of these questions are important in terms of critical thinking. Reading selections in Level 1, 2 and 3, however, start with a story preview, and more about the big questions are not presented on students' book page, but on teacher's book page. You may still see that reading strategy is provided. Looking at the reading text, you may have questions like, how should I prepare my students to the text? How should I introduce more about the big question boxes? How could this reading strategy be better presented? Teacher's Edition have all the answers to these questions. Introducing the text-related question, getting learners think about it deeply, presenting the reading strategies in a more meaningful way are all identified clearly in the Teacher's Edition. The detailed teaching notes are not only provided for introducing the text, but throughout the text. For each page of the selection, you will find different activity ideas to help learners understand better, read actively, and make reading fun. On some pages of the reading selection, you will see a differentiated instruction box, which will help you differentiate your teaching among different levels of students. You may see activity ideas for beginning, early intermediate, and early advanced or advanced learners. These boxes are also provided for writing and speaking tasks. Following each reading selection, there are learning strategies for learners to develop their transferable academic skills. Thinking about cognitive and language development of learners, these learning strategies are introduced in Level 4, not in below levels. After the first reading selection in each module, a speaking task is presented. This task is designed to explore the big question further. Some of these tasks are video-driven, that is, a related video is included, while others have a short reading text. Before the video or that short reading, learners are introduced the keywords to understand the text and use in their speaking. Why is a video or reading text is included? In order to scaffold learners. Once they are given enough input, they are required to use in the speaking cards, which are presented at the back of the book. A model conversation and speaking tips are always provided for this speaking part. Looking at the speaking cards at the back of the book might not be enough itself to understand what the task requires. Therefore, Teacher's Edition provides detailed notes of how to approach the task and what is intended. Answer key of the pre-speaking activities are also provided with possible answer options. This speaking task is followed by the second reading selection, which have the same flow as the first reading. Before we move on to the next parts, let's try to remember what we have talked about so far. For this, I will kindly ask you to have a piece of paper and write your answers down. Later in the video, we will revisit these questions and give you the answers. If you are ready, you may stop the video for a few minutes, write down your answers, and then play the video again. If you need, you can rewatch the video to answer some of the questions. If you are ready, let's move on. After the second reading selection, the cycle of the unit is completed and learners are required to put all they have learned together in the second cycle. In Put It All Together, learners are expected to produce in different language forms, which is done through listening and speaking workshops, writing workshops, and projects. The listening and speaking workshop guides learners through stages working toward an extended listening and speaking task. Tasks come from a wide variety of genres that are differentiated and appropriately sequenced according to the grade level. Phrases in the useful language box support learners in the speaking task. Speaking and listening strategies to manage the tasks are provided. Writing workshop is built around process writing steps and practices written production in different genres, from writing a descriptive paragraph to a poem. Writing tasks is initially introduced with a writing prompt or a model text. Then the first step of process writing is introduced, which is pre-write. In this step, learners are required to think about the writing topic and put their ideas down in a graphic organizer, which could be a T-chart, a Venn diagram, a word web, or a 3-column chart as presented in this example. Plenty of time should be spent for this step of the task. Without enough brainstorming, their written production would not be rich enough. Once they put their ideas down in a graphic organizer, then comes the next step of drafting, in which learners would put the ideas in their graphic organizer into sentences. However, as understood from the name, it is not expected to be perfect writing. Spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, or grammar mistakes can be found, which are to be corrected in the next step, revising. For revising step, students are provided with checklists to revise what is drafted. Moreover, they are given a model text that they see how the text is revised. In the next step of process writing, the students are given editing checklists so that they can trade papers with their peers and do peer editing and give feedback to each other. As the last step of the process writing, for publishing, a space to write the final copy is provided for the students. At the end of every module, the big question is revisited in projects that allow learners to demonstrate their understanding of major concepts presented in the module. Written, oral, and visual or active project tasks allow students to choose one among based on their interest or ability. This is an important aspect of project-based learning, to give voice and choice, since it will bring more responsibility. What you are offering as the project work is their choice, and from early ages, they have to learn to take responsibility of their choices. Sometimes students complain a lot about the tasks and they do not like to complete them. But in this case, if they start complaining, you may feel confident to tell them that, after all, it was their choice. So far, we have visited each part of a module with some examples from the Teacher's Edition. Before we move on to the next part, which is End Meta, let's revisit the questions asked earlier and compare the answers. Before the answers are presented, I'll kindly ask you to refer to your own answers and make the comparisons if necessary. Hope you could answer them all correctly. Having had a unit walkthrough and explored what is included in a unit, let's see what else we can find in the End Meta. Speaking cards are designed to be used in the speaking part, which comes right after the first reading. Different kinds of activities are included for learners to communicate successfully with their peers. Sometimes role cards, sometimes picture cards or question cards can be found. For instance, in this first picture is an example of an information gap activity, a true communicative task, while the second one offers only some pictures to talk about challenging tasks. What needs to be done with these cards is clearly described on relevant teacher's book page as mentioned earlier. Songs are included in levels 1 and 2 to help learners explore the module theme in a fun way. Not for every module though. For instance, level 2 module 1 is friendships, and learners can be oriented to the theme with this song before they start reading, writing, or speaking about the theme. You will be able to see for what module you can use this song from the top left corner of the page. There are 6 playlists in each level, 3 in level 1 since it has got 3 modules. These playlists were designed to be aligned with the module theme. There are usually 4 to 6 speaking roles, with some extra non-speaking roles. The main setting for each level's playlet was considered to be the same. For instance, all the playlets take place in a park in level 2, while it is a square in level 4. The characters and the main theme of the play change in each module with some changes in props and costumes. However, you can keep the stage the same for that particular level. Why 4 to 6 characters? To make it easier to practice in the classroom and give each student a role in 6 plays. If you are planning to have an end-year show with these plays, then different children can act out in each play using the same stage. In Teacher's Edition, you are provided with tips for the stage decoration, for scene changes, for costumes, for characters, and etc. Teaching notes also give you guidance on how to get learners ready for the play and for each scene. While dealing with the playlets, it is highly recommended to work with the Teacher's Edition. Having talked about the printed components, let's have a look at the digital component Reader Plus, which is a digital copy of the Student's Edition. It has audio and video embedded, and it is possible to highlight text, make notes, bookmark pages, and zoom. So this is a sample of Level 1 Reader Plus. Because this is a sample, you only see one level, but in your Reader Plus, you will be able to see level 1, 2, 3, and 4 together. So what you need to do is to click on the level that you will be using, and it will show you the page. Here, the list will navigate you through the table of contents. And let's go to Module 1, choose Preview Page, click on it. Then you will see the page in 2-page spread here. If you would like to work as 1-page spread, then here from the settings you can say single page and focus on only 1 page, or you can again say double page and use double page together. In most cases, Bahçeşehir English Extension Pack uses double page spread, so using double page will be easier and more beneficial for you. If you would like to go to the next page, you can either go to the next page from here or navigate through the table of lists and say, for instance, reading 1. Let's go to speaking and escape from this. So you will have the speaking here. If you would like to zoom in, then what you need to do is to click here, choose how much zooming you would like to do, and you can scroll down or up, left or right with your mouse. So if you would like to go to the original page, then click here. Let's go to another unit, for instance, communities, and go to speaking. So what you see here is a video icon. When you click on it, you will be able to see the video and you will be able to make it bigger on the screen or smaller.
People help for free. They are called volunteers.
Good evening. Good evening. Good night.
Elvira is a volunteer English teacher.
I'm going to be teaching the kids
You
English.
can make it smaller on the
the
screen, and when you are done with the video, when you say done, then you will be navigated to the page again. And if you have got an audio embedded to the text, just clicking on the audio icon.
Long A, R, W. Pronounced A, R, W. Look at each picture and word. Listen to the letter sounds. Say the word. Plate. Flame. Wet. Run.
So this is how you play the audios. And here you see notes and highlights. To be able to write some notes or highlight things, what you need to do is to choose the thing that you would like to highlight, click on here, and write your note for yourself to remember in the lesson. And then, if you would like to go back to the notes, you can find them here. You see phonics samples I wrote, look at today. If you want to delete them, you can easily delete them like this. So this is pretty much what Reader Plus look like. It is easy to use, easy to navigate. Simply you can think that you use the student's book digitally with audio and video embedded and with some taking notes and zoom in functionalities. Dear Bahçeşehir teachers, it is the end of this video series. We hope that it has been helpful to you and will make your lives easier as the users of Bahçeşehir College English Extension Pack. Thank you.